Hi there, it's April of 2023, and my name is Henry Tenby, for those of you that don't know me. I'm in the office of my late father, Dr. Lionel Tenby, and my dad passed away on December the 22nd of last year, 2022, and I did have to go through my father's desk here to basically look for certain papers and to clear out papers that were no longer needed. And during my search, I found something quite interesting, which I'm going to share with you. So basically, as I reached into one of these drawers, it's empty now, but at the back, buried amongst numerous papers, was this old letter. It says, "Photos do not bend." The date that, as far as I can read, is it looks like April the 12th, 1962. So I proceeded to open this up, and inside here was first of all, there was if I can open this with one hand, this beautiful picture taken on the occasion of the wedding of Colman and Brenda Hyman, and beautiful photo. So I turned to the back, and the sender of the letter, of course, was Dr. V.C. Hyman, Vivian Colman Hyman. There's the address, but there's something else in here as well, which was quite a surprise. And so I opened it up, and there was this reel-to-reel tape. Now, this has been sitting at the back of my father's desk since, I believe, it arrived in 1962. My father had this desk going back to, I guess, when he first opened up the office. So this has never been, my dad didn't have the means to play this tape, so he never did hear the message that was contained on the tape. So I contacted a professional audio-visual house here in Vancouver, and I sent this tape to them and asked them if they could prepare a digital copy of it, which they did. And it's quite interesting. I'm now going to share with you the contents of the tape. Basically, it's interesting to think of this as a voicemail from the year 1962 that was sent. And unfortunately, my father never did have the chance to hear the contents of it. But here we are in 2023, and only 60 years later, of course. And we're going to hear what it says now. So here we go.
Lionel, hello Dale. This must be coming as quite a surprise to you. Of course, by now you've guessed who it is. This is Colman speaking to you. Well, hello, how are you? Today is Sunday the 13th of May, and I've decided to record a message and send it to you. At the moment, I'm sitting in my flat, smoking, relaxing, having had Sunday lunch, and as it so happens, I am on duty. Brenda is at the moment relaxing in a bath. Well, you know, after a few years, it's quite hard to know where to start. After all, this is a one-sided thing. I can't conversation. There's no replies. It's very difficult to keep talking all the time. However, I suppose I better start by telling you a little about what we are doing, and then perhaps a little bit about the family. Since I left hospital just over a year ago, I've been working in general practice. I did an assistantship out in Tottenham and Edmonton in North London for 9 months. That was all very good. It was a very good experience, and that was all. After that, I did a little locum work, and then I took an assistantship as a temporary measure in Chiswick. In the meantime, Basil and I had applied for a retirement vacancy in general practice in Wembley. A very nice, gentlemanly practice of about 2,000 patients. Well, there were 70 applicants for this job, and we didn't think we stood a chance of getting it. Not a single chance, but luck was on our side, and after 2 interviews, we were awarded the practice. As you know, Basil is already in partnership with Dr. Mandel, so this necessitates me joining up into the partnership, making it a partnership of 3, operating from 3 different surgeries. Well, that's, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely superb. I couldn't give you figures of income and things like this yet. This hasn't all been worked out, but I can tell you that Basil and I have got ourselves quite a good deal out of this, and that we should be quite comfortably off in a few years' time. Certainly, at the moment, it's a great improvement to me, and a little bit of an improvement even so to Basil. I know you get all the news of the family from your mother, and this brings me to a little point. I know she regularly writes once a week, but here I must apologize, really, sincerely, for not writing. I think you can know what I mean when I say a young, newly married couple, many people to go and see, visits every night, duty, all sorts of things that make it very difficult to sit down and find time for an hour or so to write a letter. However, I thought this would be a way out by recording this message. I got the idea because Brenda has a cousin in New York, and she sent us a recorded message, and this week we've recorded a message to send back to her, and so I thought at the same time it'd be a very good idea if I did one to Lionel, and of course to Dale. Well, Dale, I think I'll address the next bit of the conversation to you. Welcome to the family. It's a big family. It's a mad, crazy family, but it's a good fun. Talking about the family, let me bring you up to date with the goings-on. Let's start at the top with, say, Zada. Zada is remarkably well. She's still going, oi, 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 give me the hagen, oi, oi, my knees, oi, oi. But despite this, it's quite remarkable now that he can get about, he climbs stairs, he walks around quite well, mainly on Basil's therapy of prednisolone. Now where do we go? The Arnos, well, a little bit more about the Arnos later. The Hymans in general, well, everybody's getting a little bit older, you know. Dad, he's, well, business isn't terribly good and he's closing up, but there's no real worries there. Mum's fine. Henrietta and Matt still living at Finchley Road. All's well. Their children, Peter and Bruce, oh, they're gorgeous. We're just waiting for them actually now. They shall be here this afternoon. Perhaps at the end of the tape I'll get them to record something. Basil, very well, and well, working hard. The kids, Charles is absolutely marvellous, 7 years old, couldn't be nicer, couldn't be more wonderful. He's going to the Hall School now, where Basil and I used to go when we were children, and he's now got an electric railway, which fills his life. James, an unholy little terror, never does anything he's told, but gorgeous just the same. After the Hymans, who comes then? The Tenbys. Well, your mother gives you all the news about herself. She's exactly the same. She never changes. Always fun. Stephen, I don't see too much of Stephen. I know he's surprisingly, well, perhaps not so surprisingly, he got through part of his finals. Very pleased to hear this. I didn't think he was going to. He was very worried about the path, but nevertheless, he's now through that. After the Tenbys, the Martins, the millions of Martins. Well, the latest thing in the Martins is that Judy has had a little girl this week. I don't know the weight, I don't know the name. I know that they wanted to call it Danielle or Daniela or something, but I think in view of the Arno mishap fairly recently, pressure is being put on her to call the baby Julia. She's married to Stanley, who of course you've never met. A very nice boy, everyday sort of chap. No asides about him. something in the stamp of Naomi's Cyril, but not quite as full of life. A bit slower, a bit more lethargic. A big fellow, bigger than me, much heavier than me. Who else is there? Naomi. Naomi, she's well. She copes with an enormous amount. Her 2 kids, marvellous. Johnny, he's running the cafe, in the West End in Southampton Row. He makes a good living, I think. Very busy, keeps him busy, but he seems to thrive on it. Who else? Devora, of course, Devora. Well, I don't know whether it's public news yet, but Devora's just a little weeny bit pregnant. So, something will be happening there, sooner or later. Her husband, Cyril, well, Cyril's about 6'1", 6'2", quite a good-looking chap, nice fellow. Again, an everyday sort of fellow, nothing fake about him either, one feels. He gets on with the family well. He was in menswear. He had a shop, but just fairly recently he sold his business, and I'm not quite sure what he's doing now, biding his time, waiting to find something else to do. I think that deals with the Martins. No, of course, Mary. Finally, Mary, she's at school. Bram and Jenny, they're well. After them come who? The Kennedys. I can't tell you about the Kennedys. You should know more than I do. After the Kennedys, the Blanks. The Blanks, Joe. Well, he's the same as ever. Excitable, happy, lovable, generous. What else can you say about him? Rosie, she's the same. No change whatsoever. Perhaps a little plumper and a little blonder than ever. Barbara and Irving. Irving you've never met. He's also a very nice, quiet chap. He's an accountant. He works for a firm, a paper mill firm. He's accountant to this paper mills. They run a little car, they've got a little baby. In fact, the baby is not quite so little. The baby is about a 25, 26 pound lump as far as I can gather. I haven't seen him recently, not since just after he was born, so I can't tell you too much about him. After that sort of blank comes the blank. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot Loretta. Loretta has now left school. She's a sophisticated little girl of, I don't know, about 16 years old, I suppose, just left school, is now working in a bank as a clerk. Let me think. Ah, yes, now after the blanks there come the blanks in Los Angeles, which I can't tell you anything about. After them come the Adahans. The Adahans, well, I don't know whether you know, I suppose you must know by now. Ailey has remarried, you know. He remarried a Swedish woman. I don't know anything about her whatsoever. We are expecting Ailey in England this summer, so perhaps we'll learn a little bit more about her. Drora has just returned from England to Israel. She was here for months, 6 months, a bit more, since before my wedding. And she's only just gone back about 3 weeks ago. Carmeli, I can tell you, is studying at in Haifa at the Technion. He's studying some sort of engineering. Ehud and Rivka are still at school. Ehud is a most lovely boy. You can't say enough in praise of him. He's a really charming little chap. That's the Adahans. Next comes the Clives, Ralph and Mona, both well, working extremely hard. I can't tell you how hard, at Ralph's magazine. He puts out a magazine about surplus products. Another one, it's called the Industrial Mart. It's a marvellous thing. It brings him a very good income, and this one, I think and I hope sincerely, is going to be the success that he's been looking for years. Mona helps him a great deal with it, doing a lot of the artwork and layout. Barry is at school at Marylebone Grammar School. It's a very good school, and he's making good progress there. John, as yet, has not got past the junior school's grade. After them come Dovey and Sheila. Well, Dovey is Dovey, losing his hair a bit, getting a bit pretty thin, working very hard indeed also, expanding his empire. He now owns somewhere in the region, I think, of near enough 30 properties, which is quite some business, and it involves an enormous amount of administration and worry. Sheila, yes, here's another one perhaps you don't know. Sheila is now pregnant for the 3rd time, so we're expecting something there. I think before Devorah, she's further on than Devorah. Their 2 existing kids are Simon, who's a little devil, and Paul, who's just toddling around. He's about 2-ish. Speaks very well, very nice. Quite a bright little baby. Who else is there? I think that copes with them all with the exception of the Arnos, and that I'll deal with a little bit later. Let me think, is there anything else I can say to you? Oh yes, I think perhaps I ought to tell you just a little bit about Brenda and I. Well, we're living here in Golders Green, off the North Circular Road. We're living in a little flat, 3 rooms, kitchen and bath. It's quite comfortable. The only problem with it is we can't really keep it very warm. Doesn't matter now, so as the weather's warmer, but the winter, we had a shocking winter, and it was very cold and miserable here. We don't hope to spend another winter here. In fact, we're just starting now to look for a house. We haven't fully decided what house we will buy, but I think we will go for a very small one, the smallest house and cheapest house we can do for the time being, and bide our time for about 5 years while we amass some capital, and then perhaps go for a bigger house. After all, we've no children at the moment, Brenda's out at work, so there's no hurry. It seems rather pointless sinking a large sum of money into a big house, commitments of perhaps which would strain us to our last resources, and it's just not really worth it. Well, what else now? I'm getting towards the end of the first side of this tape, and I don't want to get involved in any big discussions about the Arnos yet, so I'll wait until I turn round and go the other way. No, I don't think I can think of any more at the moment, not just to tell you just like that. England's just the same as ever. Cold at the moment, we're still really waiting for summer to come. Blowy and grey today. Hasn't as yet rained, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if it doesn't rain any minute. No, I can't really think of anything else. The only other thing that might interest you is that sooner or later it's threatened that we may go over to a decimal coinage. Well, that's not bad to go through all this lot, just talking, and I haven't had to break yet, and haven't had to stop to think. I think, now I will stop, call it a day on this side of the tape, and turn it round and see what I've said. Okay, hang on for the next side. Bye-bye.